We are all looking for that advocate. Advocate Construction. Here we go, everybody. As the Cardinal Cowboy, I enjoy talking to like cool, fun people, but hey, having the vice president in studio is kind of neat. Thank you, Jed, for joining us here.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, Vice President of Construction at Advocate.
Well, when you get the VP in, we know we're talking serious here. We want to learn about you guys and what it is you do to help impact our community. As a community person, somebody likes to do things out in the community to highlight those leaders who are doing a good job. Did a great interview with Lindsay and Anthony. Got to talk to them about what they really do in the field, and they mentioned you a couple times. They said, this Jed guy you're going to have on, he's pretty sharp. Started off with the company many years ago.
Yeah.
Worked your way up. Kind of exciting for somebody who says, hey, they got a company that will promote from within. Talk for me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think I started about 9 years ago at this point as a runner, as just an hourly part-time employee. And then I worked my way up as the vice president through different roles at Advocate.
Well, that's what we like to see happen in our community, our planet, and those people that put in the work to make that happen. What is it that inspired you to get into construction, and what keeps you passionate about the roofing industry and roofing exterior space?
Yeah, what kind of led me into construction is I'm one of 12. My dad married a woman who had 6 kids. He had 6 kids. We moved into one house, and at one point my stepmom decided she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So I had a father as a sole provider of 14 people. So he started a roofing company during the summers. That led me to about age 11, doing ground cleanup, to by 13 getting on the roofs, doing different things, and then by 16 I think it was full-on shingling with him during the summers. So that kind of led me into the roofing industry, and even at this point I think about maybe why I'm still here was that bonding that I had between my dad. That was his way of finding time to spend with me, was working.
Well, it's put the kids out in the field at an early age. They might learn some good habits for life. Is that fair to say?
I don't think it's too much of a coincidence that I ended up staying in the roofing industry. And actually, I have a sister who works at Advocate also. So 2 of us are now in the roofing industry, and it's something we were around the whole entire time we were younger.
Makes sense. I mean, once you get into the just putting together houses, building. Kids, as a general nature, boys like to construct. They like to build, right? And something that obviously early on it kind of led to a lifetime career now.
It definitely stuck. And not only that is the amount of people that you get to help both internally and externally, from customers that experience storm damages or just want to change the exterior of their home. It's a good feeling to be able to help out the community, kind of how you were saying. So,
well, talk about it a little bit. I mean, you're the guy who helps make sure these construction projects get completed, right? Are you helping with the supplies and everything that goes involved there?
Yeah, so I have a team that's kind of devoted, depending on the market that we're talking about. We have teams devoted to specific parts of the construction trade. I do deal with a lot of our vendors and setting up that to make sure we have material and labor. But outside of that, the team's kind of the guys, the ones that are taking control of it from the moment sales turn something in to the moment it's completed.
Gotcha. And I can imagine as a house is there to be there for all 4 seasons, right? And so you have to take that into account. We're summertime here, everybody, in St. Louis. It's getting a little bit warmer, and it'll be pretty hot here in a few weeks. But during the winter, obviously, there's differences in the way things are protected. The materials are necessary for you. Can you explain to me a little bit with regard to winter? Can you explain what ice damming is? I mean, winter stuff gets crazy. But ice, people are like, oh, ice, what does it do to cause problems? It's just slippery when you fall on it. But no, when you're building a roof construction, it can be a lot of problems there.
Yeah, so ice damming is actually a pretty common issue in the roofing industry, especially in the Midwest where we're at. We do, St. Louis, for instance, I feel like maybe last year we did have quite a bit of snow. But ice damming is when your house is releasing enough warm air, whether it could be through spaces like your light fixtures or your attic is releasing heat that melts snow that's on your roof. Well, the outside part, the overhang where your gutters are, there's nothing that's underneath there. So that stays nice and cold. So it builds like a dam effect as it comes down. And because that's there, the water has no outlet. So it has to back up if it goes sideways. And usually that's inside your home, inside the exterior or interior of your home.
Okay, so then it can be forced up and go up under shingles?
Yeah, I mean, think about a dam. If you dam something up, what happens? It backs up, it moves left, right, it doesn't go forward. So when you have that at the eave or at your gutter line, that's when you start seeing problems inside your home. And there's certain things you can do to try to protect that, like using ice and water shield, which is becoming more and more of a code compliance depending on your area.
Right.
You can have better insulation inside your attic, or just better adequate ventilation inside your attic to help with that type of issue.
Okay, yeah. When we're talking about these issues, a lot of people, I'd never heard that term before, except I've been in the industry a little bit now, working with some of the construction guys based on what or the kind of guests we have on our show. But I didn't go into the depth of it to realize what exactly that is. This is something most people don't consider. They're going, I've got a great roof.
Yeah.
It's only a few years old.
It's leaking.
Yeah. Where does this come from? And they don't understand how that has happened.
Yeah, most of the time, it's just the unknown. People just go to the last person who touched it, right? It has to be your fault, or it has to be the roof. Well, that's not always the case. And this is, yes, you can have preventatives, but even then, it's still possible for this to happen.
Okay. And something to be knowledgeable about. And this is something that in St. Louis and any region, a lot of people talk about, well, you go too much further south in the United States than St. Louis, Arkansas, other places, you still do get cold winters. There's times, I know that they freaked out a year or two ago, and Dallas had a freeze.
In Texas, they had pipes freezing inside their attics. Like it's not. I mean, I feel like the weather's starting to move a little bit more south. It seems like
It's cold warming is what's going on. Who knows what's going on?
I don't know what it's called. I just know that it's snowing in Dallas occasionally now.
Wow. So yeah, and we can't predict the future or the weather for sure. But these are things that make sure this kind of stuff. And you mentioned that. I think that's important. A lot of people don't understand when they have their house built 20 years ago. There's a new code, there's new revelations,
Yeah, it's
new
constantly
inventions
changing.
that improve this stuff.
Yeah, even it's funny you say that. I still get in arguments with my dad. Oh, well, that's how I used to do it. Well, things change, they evolve, and like there's a better way to do it now, and now you can prevent it or help try to make some of those changes to prevent it with adding the right materials or having the right things in place.
And I don't want to get into a whole discussion about insurance. We can talk about that, but there's insurance companies get involved, and then it's a matter of here's what happened. This should have been covered. This isn't covered. What's covered? But when they come in to replace it, they can't build it with the old materials, or you're going to get a kind of an upgrade too. And some of these things you put in place, or
you
even
possibly
get your own
can.
roof built.
Right, you possibly can, but even if it's not part of the process with your insurance companies, I still recommend looking into the preventatives like ice and water shield, making sure you have the right ventilation, or the adequate insulation inside your home.
Adequate insulation in the
attic
area, and ventilation and all those things are very important too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good to understand that. What is the realistic time frame that somebody would expect for a roofing project, and what causes the kind of delays that people may see? I guess weather has a lot to do with that, but tell me the normal process.
Yeah, I mean, the typical roof can last between 1 and 3 days. People think, oh, you got done in a day, it must not be a great product. Well, that's because, you think about companies or contractors just in general, they'll staff accordingly to what the project needs in order to get it done in a time frame that they need. But yeah, usually a roof lasts between 1 and 3 days. There can be delays like material availability, like if you run short or if it's special order product, permitting or inspections that can cause delays, along with weather. I mean, Missouri, we can go from a tornado to snow to 90-degree weather all in the same week. So how do you predict that on what we're going to do?
If you don't like the weather here in St. Louis, everybody, wait 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It'll change on you. We've seen that happen where it's 80 degrees 1 minute and 32 like an hour later.
Yeah.
And that has an impact on the construction and the expansion and contraction with heat and all that stuff. Obviously impacts and then the timeline for doing repairs and installing stuff. But is it true that because the I noticed when I bought a new what's the grinder thing, the disposal, right? That goes in the
Oh yeah,
sink.
garbage disposal.
Garbage disposal, right? You used to have to call in a plumber and do all stuff. Now they've made this all so much easier so that people can do those little projects themselves. I wouldn't try to take on doing a roof myself, but my point is, didn't they improve the process to say, because labor is an expensive thing, and so they want to minimize the amount of labor necessary. That's a part of the cost that goes passed on to the consumer. So that's why these projects now will get much more organized, and somebody can put a roof on in one day based on how many shingles, how many squares, I guess they talk about. And
Yeah,
other
technology has definitely taken its place. You know, it's helpful. One, a little people are more educated on exactly what is needed, so they might have the right things or the right equipment, material there on site, along with just, you know, you think about the way you used to have to measure a roof, say even 10 years ago. Most people would hand measure it. I mean, sometimes people aren't very good at math, and then they're completely off. I mean, a lot of stuff nowadays, you can get satellite views and determine exactly how big your roof is, how much material is needed, and just you can spit out a spec just like that.
Yeah, this is a process, and that's why you want to have a company who has a history, who's done this many locations around our country, and the experience to do so,
Yeah.
I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's what you guys bring.
Over
to
10,000 projects.
10,000 projects. I saw a video on there, 16,000.
Actually, I think it's over 16,000
Yeah, I
at
was
this point, yeah.
Not to contract. I mean, yeah, it's go 10,000, now you're at 16,000. You guys have been doing this for a little while. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, somebody just had a new roof put on, and some shingles don't look like they're laying flat. Is that normal?
Yeah, it's actually
what's going on?
It's really common. We get this question quite a bit after the roof installed. Do you think about, oh, my shingles used to look one way, now they look different? Well, yeah, they look different. One, they're a different product, more than likely. But two, it takes a little bit of time for shingles to adhere or bind together, you know, and there's an adhesive strips that are on these shingles. Well, they might not adhere the moment you set them down. So it could take a day, could take a few days, could take a week. But at some point, that shingle is going to lay flat and adhere together to where it's going to look a little bit more symmetrical like it did before.
Yeah, I mean, as a product, an installation, this isn't something you just slap it together and make sure that all the pieces fit. There's some, back to the weather, temperature, those kinds of things affect that, and then adhesive and how they, is that how that affects
Yeah, the activation of that usually takes some type of temperature or a certain temperature to really make it adhere properly. It doesn't mean you can't take certain precautions during colder climates or colder weather to help that process move faster, but at the same time, if it's just because it's 80 degrees doesn't mean the moment you lay it down it's going to be laying completely flat. Like, you got to give it a little bit of time.
You're not out there with hair dryers going warm.
No, I wouldn't recommend that.
The process is documented and certified. You guys use all the materials that you know work most effectively to put this in place.
Yep.
That's important for having somebody who does have the expertise, what we're talking about here. One thing I've heard a lot of people are concerned about is finding nails in their yard, and I have the cleanup, right? Why does this happen, and what should homeowners expect in terms of cleanup? I mean, that's got to be something that's a priority for a construction company.
Yeah, nails. Nails are a huge priority. One, you got to think about the average home. Most people, if you try to put it in perspective, the average home is around 30 squares, right? And then an average 30 square roof is going to take 10,000+ nails to complete it. That means if we're ripping off your roof, 10,000 nails are coming off your roof. It's a lot, right?
Wow.
So the chances of some of those falling in the yard are possible. Like, you know, do the math, but making sure that we are cleaning up during the roofing process and after is a huge priority of ours, because we don't want you to get a nail in your tire, or at the, you know, worst case, you know, maybe your kid's stepping on it. Like, that's something we don't want to see happen. So we really do try to make sure that we're running our magnets, we're using protections in order to make sure nails aren't just being scattered everywhere.
Personal experience, we did not time this, ladies and gentlemen, but driving my new car, I bought a 2-year-old car, save a little money. Buddy mine's a personal private dealer, found the car I like, got it for me, straight out of the auction, kind of cool. Talk about that sometime. Third day driving the car, and I start hearing this boom, 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 boom. I'm like, what wrong there? What's going on? Is the tire loose? Is there something loose on it? It was just a nail. It was actually a screw that got stuck in there. And I got it into the garage, we got back, I took a picture of it, and I'm like, okay, tomorrow. By the time I woke up in the morning, that tire.
Completely flat.
All because somebody just didn't manage now this wasn't in front of my house, I probably picked it up on the highway somewhere, But as far as this goes, and then what's much worse than that is when, like you said, if you have a child
Yeah.
who gets a foot that has a nail that went, that's emergency room, and when you start talking
Yeah.
about all the issues.
You don't want that.
Having a rusted nail at that. Important that you guys, that's good that you guys address that, because that's a question I'd had. I never actually thought about before, but I know that's something you deal with. When 10,000 nails, I didn't realize.
Yeah, and there's things that you can do to help us. You know, one being that if your grass is long, that's going to be a little bit more challenging, right? To run magnets to make sure we get everything. So, especially during the summer months or, you know, spring, fall, making sure your yard's cut nice and low. It'll allow us to gather as many nails that may have come off the roof during that process.
Yeah, you want to, and I didn't realize magnets. How intelligent? That's smart. Just go
Yeah.
These things are going to be iron or some sort that'll pick.
Yeah,
aluminum nails.
I think they're usually 2 to 3 foot long on wheels, and you just roll them around, and then it works.
That's intelligent. That's what, on the ball, everybody. Advanced technology, magnets, very important, very very cool. Tell me that as I get into the workmanship, you're talking about the labor and all of the tasks necessary to put together a roof. Obviously, there's much that goes into this, but a lot of people may not understand the difference between a workmanship warranty and a material warranty. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, so you're kind of looking at two things, right? Material warranty or the manufacturer warranty, along with like a craftsmanship warranty. So if I do your roof, we put on a shingle, we'll just say whatever brand, and your roof starts leaking, or let's go back. I put on your roof, and you use material, like you're going to have some type of craftsmanship warranty with me. That's me saying I value my work. Any issues, you call me during this time, we'll take a look at it, right? Well, manufacturer warranty is the quality of the product, or you could say the lifetime of what that product's willing to back their product, okay? So if you have a leak on your roof, as an example, and we come out, we do an assessment, and we notice that the reason it's leaking is because the shingles failed to seal together, that could be looked at as like the manufacturer warranty would take effect, because there's a failed part of that product. The sealant never activated, right? Okay. Whereas if you had a leak and it's because somebody had drove 15 nails in the top of the shingle and never decided to cover it up or replace it, right?
Right.
I would say that's probably more of your craftsmanship warranty type of thing, right? So faulty labor, faulty product.
Okay, and so both of those are important, because a lot of people talk about warranty. What's the warranty? There's really two components to that, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And okay, warranty is 5 years, 10 years, 15 years on the materials. Thank you very much. We're out of here. No, you want to make sure that, and that, as you guys cover, both workmanship and parts, and the components to build a roof.
Yeah. So, you know, we offer certain years depending on what's going on. But at the end of the day, if you have an issue, we're always going to come out and investigate. One, it's an opportunity for us to help the people that need help, and two, to also point them in a direction, whether it's us that can help them or maybe the manufacturer if it is, you know, in fact, their problem.
Right, and who determines that? The homeowner isn't going to have much expertise in that area.
No.
You need to call the experts to come out and take care of that.
Call Advocate.
Call Advocate, of course, obviously, especially if they're the ones who put that in there for. Or if somebody has a problem, somebody they can't find someone, call Advocate.
Yeah.
You'll come to them no matter who did their
work. Yeah, and that's the thing. We at least try to point you in a direction, even if we aren't capable of helping you.
Yeah, and say, here, we're the experts, but here's what has to be done. That is something that should be covered by warranty with a past supplier, etc. Or
the manufacturers.
You're going to be able to step up and help them figure that out.
Yep.
Okay, that's important too. All right. Well, tell me a little bit about Advocate Construction. What is it that you would say sets you guys apart, and the roofing that you provide, the exterior construction industry? Because there's a lot of people out there who do this kind of work. You want to know who it is you can trust.
Yeah. So I think what sets us apart is the people and our values. I've been here for about 9 years now. Advocate started about 12 years ago, and I've never been a part of a place that cared so much about the work that we actually do and how well we do it. We have a ton of those people that work here, and to know that when you call us, what we're doing, what we're trying to provide is what we actually like to do. There's just a different feeling there that you get from us, and that we're not going anywhere. We want to help facilitate you with any needs that you have. It's hard to really explain that, like, you know, explain your feelings, right? But that's what goes on here. We
all have. I'll put the hat on. You're talking about it. People do have feelings that get involved here. This is their home, right?
Yeah.
This is where they're raising their kids. They want to make sure that something's being done correctly because this impacts their life.
Yeah. So you got to think, right? Most people, their homes are their largest investment. So the people that you call, you need to be able to trust them, and if you give us a call, no matter what happens, whether we get it right or not the first time, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to see you through until the end, until you're happy. And as long as you trust the process, that's where you'll end up.
The process, everybody, a company that's been around for a long time, the growth you guys have had is pretty incredible too. So 12-year-old, almost 13 years, going your 13th year now, but have expanded in dramatic fashion, and that's because you're doing good work that can be used in 12 different regions of the country. Is that true?
Yeah, so 10 different states, 12 different markets, right? So you're looking at you talk about significant growth. It's not just the growth, it's the people that allowed that to happen, right? The people that are here. You don't just get to start from there. Like, it's taken a while. It's taken a long time to get people, how would you say, like, to believe in the process and to see where their value could be added, and truly continue to bring that to the table every day.
Yeah, as we're talking about, people do try to expand very often, and sometimes they grow too quickly, but obviously not the case here. If you look at the reviews and everything Advocate has available for you to look at, they've done a great job. So those companies that are expanding for the right reasons because there's a need, and I guess that leads me to my next question. And so growth is important. That's obviously why businesses want to expand, so they can help more people. And but along those lines, growth for the sake of growth is not a good thing. You want to grow because you're doing things the right way. If you would change one thing about the roofing industry, if you could, what would that be?
I think I would change the perception of what people see as a roofer. Roofing requires skilled tradespeople, and what we see is that you have to be able to work from dangerous heights. You have to be able to provide a quality product over somebody's most valued investment, at least most people's, largest investment, and still the thought that people get anytime they hear roofer isn't that there is a skilled tradesperson that is helping you and trying to serve to your best interest and provide you with a product that is going to last you for years. So if I'd like to change that, what's the word?
Perspective that people
have? The perspective, just the stigmatism around the word roofer or roofing companies. You have fly-by-night, the storm chasers that come in and out. Like, people try to say before that we're storm chasers. I'd like to say we're storm catchers. We're here. We're not going anywhere. We just happen to be in a market that has has some very unique weather, right?
We talked about that, yeah. St. Louis and the Midwest deals with all types.
Yeah.
High wind, heavy storms, and then tornadoes come through here. People are like, hurricanes all over that. Well, there's tornadoes here for those people who don't have hurricanes.
Yeah, we've had two in like the past 2 months, month and a half, right? So.
Yeah, and that's just something. Well, very important, as you understand, you do want a house to last a long time, and so you don't want to cut corners. And we've heard about I learned this from one of my other guests. They do garages, Coach House Garage guys, but they wonderful guys. Maybe you guys can do some of the roofs for those guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to connect you with those guys. But they said there's the tail light warranty, and that is the warranty is as good as you can see their tail lights. That's why you want a company who's based out of the city you're in, St. Louis, and a number of cities you guys are located where they have a physical location there. Somebody that you can actually talk to and meet with. Cool. Well, as we finish up here, if you could give every homeowner one tip about roofing, I'm putting you on the spot here. That's something that you would have to dig into a little bit. But if you give everybody one tip about roofing, what would that tip be?
I would say don't wait until the last minute to try to get your roof changed out. That most people don't realize that there's a problem with their roof to start. Think about it this way: you don't wait to change your oil until your oil's gone, right? Like, I'm out of oil. I better change it now.
Yeah.
No, you should do maintenance on your house. You should try to see what the conditions are of your roof. And I would say that if you're ever curious, to call an expert like Advocate. We can come give you a quote. We can look at and inspect your roof for free. That's good. If anything, you know the condition. You could get a possible timeline of what the life is left on that roof. So don't wait until the last minute.
Is it also complicated from the perspective that often the insurance companies aren't like looking for reasons to pay for roofs, right? And so you get into the discussion about, well, that was from a previous storm. You didn't get it taken care of because now it's a maintenance issue. It's not covered by the next storm. You want to have somebody come take a look at that roof because they might be in an argument with the insurance company.
Yeah, and I don't want to knock insurance companies. I definitely think they serve their purpose, but at the same time, I think that you need to help yourself out at times.
Sure.
So don't wait for your insurance company to help you. Don't wait for water to be pouring in your roof before you decide to make a decision. Just do yearly checkups on your roof. In Missouri, maybe every couple weeks, depending on the time of year, but it's important.
Yeah, well, that's what I say, because the insurance company has a valid point to say, not that they're trying to get out of anything. It's that they have you had an issue. You did not take care of it.
Yeah.
Because to you, the roof looked fine from you standing on the ground, looking up at a roof, that's 10 feet over your head, that you can't even see what's really happening there, but you didn't maintain it. And so now there was damage that had already occurred.
Yeah.
You didn't think there was. Water damage then happens afterwards. They're saying that's not what we're to cut. That's not by policy. That's
some more neglect, which they probably wouldn't help you out in that instance. So
that's why you need to have the experts examine your roof, and they're going to be honest with you if they're integral, like you can see here. Obviously, they are. Look at the reviews for Advocate. You guys are BBB A+, and then hundreds of reviews out there if you want to take a look at all the reviews they've got out there. Well, as we finish up here, we've got just about a couple minutes left. I want to give a quick overview for the website because you've got lots of great information out there that people can gather. And if you look at Facebook page up there on my far window, TV wall over there, we call that, and then the one I've got behind me is actually the same thing we see over here. And so it makes it easier so we don't have to keep turning back to look at that. We've reorganized our little studio here. But when you look at a great looking site and lots of testimonials, lots of work that can be done or demonstrated because of the information you've got available out there. And if there's anybody looking for a career change, might be an opportunity there.
We're always looking for good people. And even if it's not the right time, you don't let good people go.
That's important. Yeah, good people to make a good company that will make a difference on our little planet. Well, take a look here, everybody. I'm going to put the website up that's the 11-foot diameter TV wall we've got behind us here. But make a payment, get a free estimate. The services that you can see that are obviously included with what you do, because it's not just the roof, right? There's a lot of things that tie into that, and those are the things that must be addressed as well. And then lots of great resources and a lot of great connections you have with the suppliers and all the important people to make sure that when somebody makes a decision like this, they do feel comfortable. Because there you go. That's your vice president of that whole conglomerate right there, making sure this all happens.
Yep.
Thanks for taking time.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody, stay tuned for more. This is the Your Little Castle Show, looking for the leaders in our community that are making a difference. We just happen to have one here, right here, everybody. Stay tuned for more, everyone. Giddy up.